Multiple criminal charges have been laid on 2 soldiers who are implicated in a drug smuggling ring and a daring gun attack on the police. 2 people have died while the country has recorded 64 new COVID-19 cases in the last 24 hours. In international news, the CEOs of Twitter, Facebook and Alphabet Inc. are today testifying virtually before the United States Senate Committee. And in sports, national football player shot in the neck in Portmore last night remains in hospital. The details after the break.
News.
With the details, I'm Marjorie Gordon. General Secretary at the National Workers' Union NWU, Granville Valentine, says PNP presidential candidate Lisa Hanna's campaign team is using scare tactics to victimize the union. Ms. Hanna is challenging the NWU delegates list being used in the party's internal election on November 7. PNP General Secretary Julian Robinson wrote to Mr. Valentine yesterday, stating that the party has received an objection to the NWU list. However, Mr. Valentine says the NWU has adhered to all legal protocols before submitting the delegates list. Tona Thomas reports.
Ms. Hanna's campaign manager, Donna Scott Motley, is requesting that the NWU be put to strict proof that the list of delegates is reflected in the filing, failing which, she says, the delegates should be disqualified from voting in the election on November 7. Mr. Valentine says the NWU will not tolerate being embarrassed by Ms. Hanna, who he says is making erroneous claims about the union to the media. He considers her statements as troublemaking.
It can be answered by us. They have never approached us. So all I can see is 2 things. It's a scare tactic, and 2 is an attempt to try to embarrass the NW. But we are in good stead. So we have nothing to answer to more than to explain or assist the Oversight Committee in any way that we can. There is no such requirement in the People's National Party Constitution, bylaws, or in the NW Constitution, bylaws, or in where the affiliation of the NW and the PNP is concerned. None. So it is just troublemaking.
Mr. Valentine says he's perturbed by the Hanna campaign team's efforts to attack the NWU. He elaborated that a PNP presidential aspirant should value the decisions of the union.
There is nothing wrong with anything that we are doing. Again, a scared tactic smoke screen is being flashed and the NW is being targeted. Anybody that chooses to lead the People's National Party should never attack Norman Manley's union. And that is very unfortunate that people who seem not to have known the history and the relationship and the bond between the party and the NW is trying to destroy Norman Manley Union with baseless comments.
The NWU General Secretary says Ms. Hanna has disrupted the relationship between the PNP and the NWU.
No, but I don't know how how did she attempt? She has not come to the NW, and that is not a part of the requirement. The RGD would have had all our documentation, then not Ms. Motley. The relationship with the PNP has nothing to do with the government or the government institution. That is not a requirement. But I'm talking about the PNP as a party and the member has no duty to be going to a government body to ask about our membership when we are part of the PNP. If you want to ask a question, it can be answered by us.
Tona Thomas for Nationwide News.
Multiple criminal charges have been laid on 2 soldiers who are implicated in a drug smuggling ring and a daring gun attack on the police. The soldiers charged have been identified as 39-year-old Rowan Mendez and 38-year-old Robert Smith. Both are corporals. Smith is from Balaclava and St. Elizabeth, while Mendez is from the Kingston 10 area. Mendez and Smith are to appear in the St. Elizabeth Parish Court on Friday. The 2 JDF members have been charged with shooting with intent, illegal possession of firearm and dealing in ganja. They're also charged with taking steps to export ganja and possession of ganja. The soldiers were arrested 2 weeks ago in the Gutters area of St. Elizabeth and 1,500 pounds of compressed ganja seized. The incident occurred at approximately 9:30 p.m. Both soldiers reportedly engaged the police in a shootout prior to their arrest. The soldiers were in their military uniforms when they were arrested. 2 firearms were reportedly seized from the soldiers. The JDF says a police operation in which the soldiers were nabbed came after it was tipped off the JCF about the possible involvement of one of the 2 soldiers in the repeated smuggling of contraband. The soldiers are being represented by Peter Champagny and Samoy Campbell.
This is your daily COVID-19 update.
2 people have died from COVID-19 in the last 24 hours in Jamaica. That's according to the Ministry of Health's latest COVID-19 clinical management summary. The deceased are a 75-year-old male from St. James and a 73-year-old male from Kingston and St. Andrew. The ministry is also reporting 64 new COVID-19 cases in the latest test results over the last 24 hours. 464 samples were tested. This brings the total number of cases to 8,851. According to the Ministry of Health, majority of the cases are from St. James after recording 22 cases. This is followed by Kingston and St. Andrew with 15 cases. St. Thomas recorded no new cases. The ministry says 32 more people have recovered, bringing recoveries to 4,379. In the meantime, 106 people are hospitalized, 15 are moderately ill, and 3 are critical.
That was your daily COVID-19 update.
Now, a male resident at the Santa Cruz Infirmary in St. Elizabeth has died of COVID-19. According to local government minister Desmond McKenzie, he did not contract the virus at the facility.
There is another death that occurred this time at the infirmary in Santa Cruz in St. Elizabeth. He was a resident, but he did not pick up the virus at the infirmary.
Minister McKenzie says a former resident who had been admitted to the Black River Hospital for more than 2 months was in isolation at the infirmary for 2 days when the positive test results returned. He died at the Black River Hospital.
Now, this patient was admitted to the Black River Hospital on the 19th of August and was in the hospital until he was released on the 5th of October. Now, he was placed in isolation at the facility and a COVID test was requested. The test was undertaken and the test came back on the 7th, and the test was done on the 7th and came back proving that he was tested positive, and he was removed the same day that the test result was done and placed back in the Black River Hospital. So,
Desmond McKenzie, Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, speaking with Nationwide News. Scotiabank says most employees who are displaced when the company shutters its Old Harbour and Black River branches next year will take a post at other branches. The Black River branch is to be closed on February 21 and the Old Harbour branch on April 21 next year. Scotia has also announced that it will convert 6 other branches to digital only by January 2021. These branches are Christiana branch in Manchester, Falmouth branch in Trelawney, the Portmore branch in St. Catherine, and the Port Antonio branch in Portland. The bank is to also convert to digital the Port Maria branch in St. Mary and the St. Anne's Bay branch in St. Anne. David Noel is President and Chief Executive Officer of Scotiabank Jamaica.
Now, we know that these changes, particularly the branch closures, will have an impact on jobs. And so it's not a decision that we have taken lightly. We are, however, working with the BITU, the union representing a majority of those workers, to ensure that wherever possible, we mitigate the impact of job loss by finding new jobs within the branch network or other areas in Scotiabank. Or if that's not possible, ensuring that as people move out of the organization, we're providing other opportunities, whether training or other support, so that they can move into other jobs.
He says the company is being consistent with the current trend it notices where most customers do their business outside the banks.
Over the past few years, we've seen a significant shift in how customers conduct transactions. Just 3 years ago, over 25% of transactions happened in a branch. That trend has been changing for some time. It was down to about 10% in November. It's now down to less than 6%. So given those trends, we're making these changes so that the branches are now more focused on providing advice and solutions rather than just processing individual transactions. We believe that as the country invests in the internet and broadband technology, more and more people have access to the internet and are using it for whether it's school or otherwise. And we see that trend continuing. And so these changes are aligned with those trends.
He says he's excited about the new model the company is exploring.
We are excited about our new digital branches and some of the features of those branches that are designed to help customers become more comfortable with using digital features. We have social zones that have iPads or tablets available for customers to use with support of Scotiabank staff, so that any customer who may not be comfortable with digital but would like to learn, those branches will now provide that avenue so that we can help our customers make the transition to digital. So when you're opening a new account or you want to learn how to do your transactions digitally, we will be there for our customers to help them make that transition.
David Noel, CEO and President of Scotiabank Jamaica, speaking this morning with Nationwide News. Overseas now. The CEO of Twitter, Facebook, and Alphabet Inc. are today testifying virtually before the United States Senate Committee on Commerce, Science, and Transportation over whether to repeal a section of the 1996 Communications Decency Act. The act shields them from legal liability over content that users post on their platforms. Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg, Twitter's Jack Dorsey, and Alphabet's Sundar Pichai are in the hot seat less than a week before the U.S. presidential election, which has been rife with reports of online interference and disinformation. Republican lawmakers have also accused the social media platforms of supporting conservative viewpoints. And that's the news. Sports is next.